Romance. I'm sure we all had that point in our years and years of anime watching and manga reading where all we could consume was romance. At least that's how it was for me. When I first watched Don't Toy With Me Miss Nagatoro during its airing in 2021, it practically changed my DNA structure. If I even tried to watch an anime that wasn't a romance, it felt like my brain would spontaneously combust. And so I spent the next couple months after this point reading and watching anything romance. The good, the mid, the yaoi, the yuri, you name it. But one particular subgenre of romance I found myself reading and watching the most was the stories where the popular girls would get with the unpopular guys. And for whatever reason in high school, I could not stop myself from reading manga with this exact plot. Now this was probably started because I watched Don't Toy With Me Miss Nagatoro, but it prompted me to read a bunch of similar manga. For that instance, Yanchigao no Anjo-san, More Than a Married Couple But Not Lovers, or My Dress Up Darling. But none of them have stuck with me just as much as Real Girl has. Real Girl, or 3D Kanojo, is a shoujo manga by Nanami Mao, published from 2011 to 2016. And it also got an anime adaptation in 2018, but it aired the same season as Wotakoi, and that gained way more popularity. Now, Real Girl is pretty much going off the basis, as I said before, an unpopular boy and a popular girl. Two people who are opposite, yet destined to fall in love. The main character Susui is a complete and utter otaku. He's bullied, he's mocked by his classmates, he hates his social life, and he actually has one friend, a cat boy named Ito. Now the series starts off with Susui showing up late to school. As punishment for this, he's tasked with cleaning the school's pool during his lunch break. However, he wasn't the only one who was late this day. That's where a female lead comes in, Igarashi Iroha. Igarashi is the complete antithesis to what Susui is. She's popular, she skips class on purpose, she's rude and blunt. Susui even claims that she's everything that he hates about 3D girls rolled into one. And at one point she even calls Susui a virgin to his face. But despite this, she's actually quite nice to him. Well, nicer than she is to other people. One day Susui and Ito are just hanging out, eating lunch, and then a group of people come up to them and just start insulting them out of the blue. And this angers Susui, making him lose his temper. But that's when Igarashi steps in and defends Susui and Ito from the people antagonizing them, and she even calls Ito's cat ears cute, which makes him realize that real-life girls are nice. Yeah, as you can tell, this manga has some pretty dated depictions of otaku culture at times. It almost feels like you'd find the characters perusing on r/anime memes, but anyways. Later, Susui notices Igarashi getting harassed in the hallway by some guys, and in return for her helping him out, he tries to help her out by trying to fight the guys harassing her. So he rushes at the guys with the stick he's holding and pretty much gets his ass kicked. And even though he got beat up, Igarashi realizes she has feelings for him, as no one's ever done this for her in the past. No one's ever defended her like this. So in the next few pages, we see Igarashi confessing her love to Susui, in which Susui says that he has pride, and he won't date her because he thinks she would just date anyone. However, even despite telling her this, Susui also realized he had feelings for Igarashi, and after school, he spots Igarashi crying on a bench. And Susui, being the big brain otaku he is, he decides to stalk Igarashi and follow her around for the day. At one point, she's being accused of shoplifting a book, and Susui steps in and yells that he's been stalking her the whole day, and he knows she wasn't the one who stole it. And after Susui saves Igarashi once again, Igarashi apologizes to him and says sorry for confessing to him on such short notice. But even despite of this, she says that she almost cried when he saved her, and she was happy. And that's when Susui's thoughts reveal that he felt the same way when Igarashi saved him from the bullies. So the very next day at school, Susui confesses to Igarashi, and even though he could get played like a fiddle or messed with, he doesn't care. So the two decide to start dating, but see, there's a catch. Igarashi reveals that she'll be transferring schools in 6 months, and that the time they'll spend together, even though it won't be long, it'll be enjoyable and fun for the both of them. Now, one thing this series does different than other romance series with a similar plot is the character development. Other romance series like Don't Toy With Me Miss Nagatoro have characters that pretty much stay similar all the way through. Like, yeah, there's some development when the main character switches from glasses to contacts, but it's not a lot. On the contrary, Real Girl has a lot of character development. It's not afraid to change the characters and show them growing up similar to a real high school setting. It almost reminds me of The Breakfast Club, where the characters grow into almost completely different characters by the end of the movie, whether it be through being pushed by other characters or by themselves. Examples of this are shown when the characters learn not to have so much self-loathing, due to the other characters pushing them to be better people. Susui is always talking down on himself, and he thinks everything is his fault. In the beginning, he doesn't think that a human being like him is capable of being in love, and through Igarashi, Ito, and all these other characters, he learns that he has a place in society and that he's capable of falling in love. One of my favorite moments of growth in the series is when Susui's friend Ito falls in love with a girl, and much like Susui, he finds himself with a difficult time grasping the concept of love. He's not used to this feeling, so Susui gives him some advice, and this makes Ito realize that if he doesn't end up confessing to her, his feelings will disappear, and he'll stay the same, never moving forward, always bottling up his emotions, and still never being able to grasp the concept of love. So this prompts him to confess to her, and even though she rejects him confessing to her got him to change, causing him to stop bottling up his emotions, even telling Susui that he was jealous of him, jealous of his ability to fall in love. And moving forward, Ito decides to cut his hair, changing his persona, and he even gives up the catboy act. It's just things like this that show how well Real Girl portrays growth and development in its characters throughout the duration of the story. Nanami Mao writes the character development in a way that's memorable, and it sticks with you even after you finish the series. It pains me that due to the first season of the anime's less than ideal reputation, there were many people who missed out on this excellent character writing were shown in the latter half of the series. Now, if anyone watching this watched the first season of the anime and didn't enjoy it, I would highly encourage you to check out the manga. But that's pretty much everything. Thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please leave a like or follow. Later.